Hello and welcome everyone. I still see we have a few folks joining, which is great, so come on in. We're going to go ahead and get started here in just a minute. This is Brad Cooper with CountingWorks and Clientwise, and we're here to talk about getting more from your tax season. And we're getting close here. Busy season is just around the corner, and we work with thousands of tax professionals around the country. And we know some of you love this time of year and some of you not so much. Either way, whether you love it or hate it, it's one of the most critical times of the year for almost any tax and accounting firm. And so, especially when it comes to generating revenue and acquiring and retaining your clients, this is a critical part of the year. And so today, we're going to give you some really good tips on how to prepare for the tax season and beyond, even beyond the tax season. And once you're into tax season, we'll have some really good strategies for you as well to help you build your practice, build your brand, grow your marketing, and have a great tax season. So we're really excited to talk to you about this today. And so I'm also going to introduce my partner in crime here, Lee Reams, who is the CEO of Clientwise. Lee, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, thank you, Brad. I know from talking to our clients, there's definitely the hit and miss of the anxiety of preparing for the upcoming tax season, and hopefully this presentation will give you some great ideas and really take a lot of that stress from you. I have been working with independent tax and accounting professionals for over 20 years, originally through our previous company, Image One, which we built up to a little over 40,000 customers, sold that to Greatland some years ago before we kind of reinvented ourselves as Clientwise, and now obviously our CountingWorks and TaxBuzz marketplaces. So excited to share a lot of things that we've learned and what we've seen work throughout the years and kind of the new trends that are coming up.
Great, thanks. And likewise, my name is Brad Cooper, and I've been in digital marketing for many years as well, and work with Lee here at Clientwise and CountingWorks, and have been with some big and small companies, but really have enjoyed most working with our thousands of small practices and helping them to get more from their marketing, helping them build their brands and get the most out of tax season. So really excited to talk to you about this topic today. Just real quick, a little bit about our company. You may be familiar with our parent company. Our parent company has always been known as Clientwise, and that's what we've been about the past 10 years or so. We've kind of expanded the brand, and now our main software product is called CountingWorks Pro. And we also have a couple of marketplaces which help you to connect with potential clients and clients. Those are called CountingWorks and TaxBuzz. But what we do is help firms to build their brands and also to build what we call 5-star practices, because we're really focused on helping to build your reputation and building those 5-star practices. You are the best in your area, and that's what we want you to be. And so we help you to do that, and we do lots of things to do that, including websites and blogs and email newsletters, social media, lots of things we can help you with, reputation building, including those marketplaces that we have, tools. We have great portals and all kinds of great tools for you to use in and outside of tax season. And so that's a little bit about our company, and we'd love to help you in any way we can. So reach out to us about that or anything that we do there. About the webinar. So it's going to be about an hour. Please do stay through to the end, because it is required if you want to get CPE credit, and we do offer CPE credit. That is only for CPAs, but you do have to answer all 4 poll questions, and you're going to also want to stay to the end because we have some exclusive offers that you won't see in other places. This is going to be recorded and available for playback, so you will be able to share it with colleagues. If you have any questions, you're in listen-only mode, but there is a little question icon down there in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Just go ahead and click on that and submit the question. We will answer questions at the end of the webinar. And we'll also, if we don't get time to answer your question specifically, we will answer this within about a business day after the webinar. So we love questions, so please do submit them. And if you need tech support, please contact Citrix with GoToWebinar, and they can help you with any kind of audio issues that you may have. This webinar is also designed for US-based small accounting and tax practices. Any business can benefit, but that's really who it's designed for. Although at the disclaimer there too, the other thing I will say is if you have any kind of sticky kind of marketing or social media issues related to legal issues in your state, please do consult your attorney or your local kind of CPA or tax governing body on those types of issues, because we aren't attorneys. So if you have any kind of sticky legal issues, please consult your attorney. And I did mention the CPE credit. You must stay the whole hour, answer all the poll questions. You have to stay, actually at least 50 minutes you have to stay, but please do stay the hour if you can and answer all 4 poll questions. We will respond to you after the webinar with some information on how to get your CPE credit if you would like to get that and you are a CPA. Okay, a little bit about what you're going to learn today. So first, you're going to discover some ways to get your firm's marketing specifically. And this is kind of more focused on marketing, although there's some operational things we're going to talk about, but getting your marketing ready for tax season and beyond. And I just lost it. There it is. Okay. And then to get some tips on generating more revenue, generating more testimonials, and 5-star reviews. Those are the most important things out of all of the things you're going to learn today. Getting to the place where your service is during the tax season, a 5-star service is going to be one of the most important things you're going to learn. We're also going to give you 5 goals to try to accomplish during tax season and come away with some practical steps, next steps that you can use in your own practice starting right today, right after this webinar. And then more specifically, the agenda, Lee is going to talk to you about some background. So how clients find you, the types of clients you might have, the tax season versus the rest of the season. He's going to give you some really good background and some data that will help you understand your clients and get ready for tax season. Then we're going to talk about the 4 different parts of tax season. This is somewhat arbitrary, but we've kind of broken it down into preparing, acquiring, and scheduling clients in, serving your clients during kind of the heat of tax season there, and then after tax season and beyond throughout the whole year. And then finally, as I mentioned, we're going to give you some goals to set for yourself related to your marketing to have during tax season. And then at the end, we're going to take some questions from you. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lee.
All right, thank you, Brad. And before I get into the first slide, I just want to give kind of a little background on how I see things, some statistics on what we're going to be looking at here in the upcoming tax season, and then obviously we're going to see how it all shakes out. Obviously, tax reform has been the topic of the year. Obviously, there's all the new things that you need to learn. There's changes in the tax law that will affect your clients and whom they choose to work with. So there's a lot of different issues, and I'm definitely not a doom and gloomer. I am more, hey, these are the opportunities. But the reality of the day is, hey, our industry is being disrupted, and I'm talking to the tax side, but also the tax and accounting side. Technology, AI, things are, already starting to affect how clients want to work with you, how you will be working with clients, what they can do themselves versus needing professional assistance. So there's definitely, that's issue 1. And issue 2 is you're being disrupted on the way you traditionally find clients. So a lot of the old school word of mouth referrals, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's a lot more transparency, right? So something that is said about you can be shared online very quickly, and people use the internet now, obviously, to do their due diligence and research. So there's a lot of different things to deal with, and the way I see things changing is it's going to become more and more about a customer experience. It's going to be your reputation plus the technology that you're using. How do I make it a better user experience for my clients? How do I make it easier for them to work with me? Those are kind of things that are going to start differentiating the firms that are successful versus the ones that get frustrated and say this all doesn't work and don't want to try new things. So it's definitely kind of a big deal to think of. Again, this is my point of view. This is what we are seeing though in the marketplace. We have lots and lots of clients. We talk to them. We see very quickly what works, what versus what doesn't work. We see people who fight back and don't want to do reviews, for example. They don't want to do social media, and quite frankly, they just don't do anywhere near as well as the clients are kind of jumping in, embracing kind of the new developments. So I hope you value this information. A lot of this is based on data, not necessarily just personal opinions, and kind of the things that we see working through our many clients. Our clients are located across the country. They deal with all sorts of different clients, from expat taxes to more of the H&R Block simpler returns to much more sophisticated pass-through entities, things like that. So it's a good mix of data that we use to kind of develop our strategies and what's working, what's not. So a few statistics, and one of the biggest one, according to the Tax Policy Center, only about 11% of households are likely to itemize their taxes this year, and that's down from 26.4% last year. Now, I know not all states have conformed to the tax code, so there's going to be a lot of different complexity, and I think a human is more important than ever to sit down and say, hey, this is the best option for you, and this is why you should do it. But these are things that are definitely going to affect and kind of shake things up a little bit. We're talking about tens of millions of returns here. So, it's going to be hit and miss. Some states will be more affected than others. I believe that new tech-enabled services will start competing for your clients. And those are firms that are kind of hybrids. They're not necessarily just individuals, independents doing taxes anymore. They're more of kind of like an Amazon type marketplace where they're bringing services in and pricing them, and there's just definitely going to be a new set of competition here over the next few years. So, kind of one of the things I believe in is that your relationship by itself may not be strong enough if you don't embrace tech-enabled tools. And a lot of the things we're talking about is using technology, using marketing funnels to better your service. And then on the positive side, so again, I'm not a doom and gloomer. I believe that people that embrace the changes and look at their business models and make adjustments where needed are going to thrive in this new growth. And obviously, the huge migration to the cloud is a huge opportunity for everybody. And let's just go straight to the data. A forecast just came out. I saw it just a few days ago about by 2026, there's approximately 140,000 new jobs for accountants and auditors. That it is a growth area, and everyone keeps, I had someone arguing with me on Twitter the other day that by 2030, all bookkeepers and accountants are going to be out of a job. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. There's obviously so many ways that accountants help their clients. There's a reason you're the #1 trusted advisor. So, and the big issue obviously is Section 198 and the pass-through consulting, the tax planning. Talking to some of our mid-sized CPAs, smaller firms, they're already seeing a huge influx of business to all the different scenarios and things. So your education obviously is a huge deal to be able to do your jobs. But now let's talk about kind of that customer experience thing, the client-facing thing. So why it matters how tax clients find you. So I'm finally getting to the slide. So basically, referrals, which is your traditional way, search engines, obviously Google, Bing and other sources, review marketplace sites. So TaxBuzz, CountingWorks, Yelp, Google My Business, people that Googling your brands and they're reading about you, and sitting there and not proactively protecting your reputation is a big deal. And we'll talk a little bit more with some statistics later. Social media, that's a whole new audience, a new way, kind of a new funnel to talk to your clients. So you have your email newsletter, and now you have your social media ways to talk to people. PR and guest blogs, that's a huge way to differentiate yourself and become an authority on different topics. And then obviously your email newsletters. That is our bread and butter for our clients. We get huge response rates from our clients who are actively sending their monthly, even more frequent newsletters and updates. So it's a big deal. So let's get into this a little bit more. The importance of reviews. So when we first started our marketplace sites like TaxBuzz, there was much more pushback to kind of the idea of review marketing, reputation marketing than we have today. But that being said, I just had a client who wanted to kind of argue or debate the importance of it and showing statistics and saying, hey guys, look at this. 97% of consumers use the internet to find a local business. That's up from 95% in 2016, right? More importantly, 95% of consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. Positive reviews make 73% of consumers trust a local business more. Something else that I think is important is these statistics are for the overreaching market. So the tax and accounting side is trending up. So in the old days, it was less and less important, and then even every year it's been jumping up more and more. And when it comes to reading the amount of reviews, so people ask us often, how many reviews do I need? The consumers read an average of 7 reviews before trusting a business. And think about when people start kind of pre-qualifying what their thought processes are about you, it's a better way to start selling your other services. They're going to come in, they're going to trust you a little bit more, they're going to see other people's opinions about you. It's much better than any advertising, and it's really going to set kind of the beginning of the relationship. And as you know, the more clients trust you, the more they listen to your advice, the more likely we're going to have better outcomes. So let's talk about more about the importance of client reviews. Google is obviously the #1 search engine, huge on mobile, huge everywhere. Their Google My Business listing aggregates other review sites. So here's an example of a current client of ours. If someone was referred to Karen and they Googled her name, you want your website to show up top, but then you're going to see below that all the different review sites. So Facebook, TaxBuzz, CountingWorks, and then the reviews are also syndicated on the bottom right of these, so right where these little yellow highlights are. And that's just another way that if someone went to from Google Maps and was looking to hire you, they're going to be able to see the reviews in multiple places. So being proactive, is a huge deal. Natural positive reviews are sporadic at best. So if you do nothing, it's hard to generate a ton of positive reviews. So more often than not, people don't think to leave reviews for positive experiences, right? It's kind of human nature. They are naturally most motivated to leave reviews if the situation was not satisfactory, and that's the big problem. So we're huge believers in being proactive about getting reviews. So we'll talk more a little bit about the reputation side, but kind of you need to understand and know your client base, right? So, what are the type of tax clients? And we have some statistics here. You'll see when people switch, why they switch, things like that. But first-time filers, people that are switching, they had a bad experience with another professional, or they had a DIY that went south, right? Clients with life events. This is huge. And even the statistics on searching and when people change, life events is, and we'll see, it's in the 20-some% range. But buying a home, a marriage, divorce. A divorce, obviously, with the tax changes, is even a bigger deal. Having children, saving for their education, changing jobs, having higher income or stock options or things like that, moving to another state, increases, decreases in income or assets. Health issues is obviously a big deal. New category we've added is the gig economy, freelancers. So they need to be more organized than ever. They need to be tracking all the receipts, and there's a whole new market there, and a hugely growing market for you to focus on. Obviously, small business owners are a huge, and as long as this economy stays robust and continues to grow, a great resource for new business. So let's talk about that. Why people switch and where, what kind of issue, motivation factor sends them one way or the other. So obviously we all know the DIY person is more of a price sensitive person. There's a lot of ways to value price things now that you can overcome this. So there's a lot of different ways you can look at your own pricing schemes. But the reality is you move to the right, bad experience. And that's easy. We see it in all the reviews that our marketplace sites get. Professionals who don't return calls. They leave bad, they make a promise and then they don't come through. A bad experience with the receptionist or the front office is a huge one. And you might have holes in your business, you don't even know it. Leads coming in and you don't respond to them. Those are all these areas that are bad experiences. 26% of people, that's a likely motivating factor to switch. They can become your new client, obviously. You can take advantage of this, but at the same time, you obviously don't want to be that bad experience pro. Recommendations still, obviously, word of mouth. So reviews, testimonials, people are asking friends on Facebook for recommendations. Nextdoor is doing recommendations as well. So the word of mouth is no longer just a phone call or asking somebody, it is done online. And then the right side, we put here life events. So the farther to the right is more tendency to tax preparers. It's usually more complex type of tax situations, right? So why this is important is you want to make sure you're developing your content and your message and your products around these. So how do I tackle someone who had a bad experience somewhere else and make their customer experience with me better than what they would receive somewhere else, right? How can I increase the amount of recommendations I get? Can I use referral tools to help my clients share, become ambassadors for me? Can I help get more reviews to make it so when people are Googling me, and a lot of this is happening whether you know it or not. So if you're not optimizing your web presence, people are Googling you and they may have been referred from a client and they see nothing or bad reviews. Worse yet, you don't even get the phone call. You weren't even in the game, even though this all took place behind the scenes. And that's why it's so important to be proactive here. Developing content, again, around life events is a big deal. So we'll kind of get into that a little bit more here. This is a little bit older data, but just some numbers to look at. 3.5 million Americans entering the workforce. 40 million Americans changed jobs in 2014. 2.1 in 2014 got married. 5.4 million bought a home. 2.4 started a family. So these are all these different opportunities, right, for us to help change and guide these Americans in after these life events and help them work with an experienced pro. So this stat chart should not be a surprise to anyone. People skew more towards the DIY, TurboTax type market as they're younger, but look at the top graph. So the 55 to 64, 65 plus, 35%, work with an accountant up to 42%, 43%. So these statistics I think are really important to kind of say, okay, well, where's my niche? Where should my marketing be, directed? So it looks like, the people start making a little more money. They start having families. So 35 and up are really good opportunities where the graphs start getting larger and larger. And obviously you have the opportunities to try to gain the trust and business of your clients' kids and children. So as they start working up the chain, doing some specials for them, helping them out in the beginning, give free advice. So it kind of grow with them as they grow. So there's another opportunity there to gain some market share. This is important to understand, and Brad's going to go over a lot of this about when tax season really begins from a marketing standpoint. It's actually already started probably a couple months ago. It takes about 90 days to fully start an optimizing program. So if you're working on building a new website or you're launching any content, landing pages, whatever, it takes a while to get indexed. So it's not an overnight process. A lot of the strategies that we work with are what we call evergreen organic techniques. So meaning once you've created the content, it delivers for years and years and years after. It's not I have to pay for a click and someone comes and my program is not perfectly designed, I'm done. So as you use some of the strategies we're talking about, the more committed you are, the more longevity you have on this commitment, the more keywords that you're going to be indexed for. And as the spikes come in, we always see at end of January, the first week in February, our tax buzz site goes crazy. And then obviously it blips a little bit down into March. And then April 15th, you have another blip. So the trends are fairly consistent. We'll see what happens this year with the tax law changes. There's obviously the good and the bad. So it will be interesting to see what this chart looks like next year. So getting ready for tax season. The peak search period, kind of I alluded to, January 1 through February 15th. We've always found it around the 7th or 8th of February. And then again, it spikes April 15th. But what I was saying before, do not wait and then start your marketing efforts January 1. It is still can be effective. You can still get returns later in the season. But the reality is, you really need to be proactive on starting on this today. So search terms, tax preparer, tax accountant, tax service, best tax preparer reviews. So if you're a tax preparer without reviews, that's going to be a hard one for you to index for, right? So these are things when people, when they Google things, the results come up. There's paid search at the top, the Google My Business listings, and then all the organic stuff. So in order to be indexed well, you really need to optimize your websites and your marketing material around these keywords. And it really comes down to being there year round. Google and brand, or the search engines, they're going to index brands that they think are established, that they can see a consistent address across the internet and phone numbers, and they're getting reviews and traffic year round. They're basically trying to promote the best of the best, right? They want their users to have a good user experience. So it is very difficult to say, oh, my business runs from January 15th to April 15th, and then I disappear. Obviously you receive clients like that, and they've had a bad experience with another tax preparer. It's really not the way you market either. So as we talked about, life events occur year round. Your marketing, your social media touches need to occur year round.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lee. And we're going to go ahead and do the first poll question of the webinar here. And before that, I do that, I just want to kind of go back just 2 slides. And Lee talked about the slide here where you can see the Google searches for tax preparer. So this is, people searching to look to get their taxes prepared. And as Lee said, you can kind of just see the spike there that usually comes in January, February, and another little spike in April. And then kind of the rest of the year is in terms of tax preparer, it's pretty low in searches the rest of the year. It's really January and February. And so I wanted to make sure that you caught that and were paying attention. Hopefully you were, because the next question is related to that. And I'm going to go ahead and launch our first poll question. And hopefully you'll see it come up on your screen here in just a moment. Okay, and we'll launch it. So the first poll question is, the peak month for people in the US anyway to search on Google for tax preparers is July. Is that true or false? And these are going to be in varying degrees of difficulty. This one, I would say, hopefully, if you're paying attention, should be fairly easy. But go ahead and respond to it. Please do respond. If you are going for CPE, these are required. So the peak month is to search for a tax preparer is July. Please go ahead and respond. And I'm going to go ahead and give you 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, great. I see everyone's responding, and hopefully you got that one okay. All right, we'll go ahead and move past the first poll question here. And now we're going to talk about, Lee gave you some great background there on the market and kind of the life stages and your clients and what you need to do and some of the things you need to do to prepare. And now I'm going to take you through each of the stages and some things you can do to help with your marketing. So we're going to talk about from now sort of until January, and then we'll talk about January, mid-January to April in terms of acquiring and scheduling clients in. We'll talk about serving your clients, and then finally, kind of after the deadline, what you need to do all year round. Because as Lee said very emphatically, this is something that doesn't just happen in tax season. It really should be an all year round deal. And so, but we're going to start off with kind of preparing for tax season, which is now, as I said, through about mid-January. While yes, it's great to do this all year round, it would be great if you had all these things in place kind of in August. If you're just starting now, though, don't worry, there's still things you can do to get yourself ready, over the next 30 to 60 days or so. And one of them is to look at your core marketing. So, and that starts with your website. So go through your website, make sure you have one. Believe it or not, there are still some accountants and tax professionals who do not have a website. Absolutely, we get the question occasionally, less now, do we need one? You absolutely do. Make sure it's mobile responsive and also security enabled, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. Then also look at your social media profiles, building content on social media, automating some of the content you have, and then as Lee said many, many, many times, review sites. So TaxBuzz is one example, CountingWorks.com, Google. And then the other thing you can do here at the bottom, as Lee said as well, is make sure you do CPE, especially this year with the new tax law. So these are some core things you can do to get these things in place for your marketing. And I'm going to talk about each one a little bit more here. First thing I'm going to talk about is search engine optimization in Google. Lee mentioned this a little bit, but specifically, there's lots of factors. So a lot of people ask us, okay, how do I get myself higher on Google? If somebody is searching for a tax preparer on Google, and Google, by the way, is still almost $1 trillion company, so they are the #1 place people still go, believe it or not, to look for tax professionals is Google. How do I get myself higher is the question we get. Well, there's a bunch of factors, and then we use this site called Moz, which ranks different factors that will help you. But a lot of times there's things on your website and there's things off of your website. So your website has to have lots of great content, has to be consistent. Getting reviews is the thing that pops up higher and higher. Social media, blogs, rich content, lots and lots of things. We could do a whole webinar on this, but there's definitely some of these things you should have in place now and beyond to help yourself through tax season to get ready so people can find you when they go to Google to look for tax professionals. Okay, and then as far as your website and other types of content, one thing you can do, and I don't have this on the slide, but a lot of our tax professionals who do taxes and do tax preparation will put some of the more tax-related information front and center on their website during tax season. It's a nice thing you can do if you're kind of an accounting and tax practice where you do kind of more focus on accounting throughout the rest of the year. But at a minimum, make sure you have all of your services that you offer, especially the tax ones, on your website. Make sure your business name is there. Make sure you have your bio and your staff's bios and photos. Very simple things, but these are things that people leave off. Contact information, very important. Ask people to contact you and have contact information. Any niches that you focus on. Having your blog content there and articles and videos. Testimonials and reviews, having those front and center on your website, links to your social media. These are all very, very simple things that will get you a long way in having you sort of call this your house in order. And then the platform and technology, make sure your site loads quickly, it's mobile friendly. The one at the bottom here I want to point out, a lot of sites still don't have this fixed. So you see the little example that I have of this website that doesn't have what we call HTTPS. SSL security is another thing you'll hear it called. Google Chrome and a lot of other browsers now are giving warning messages to people. This is kind of one of the more tame messages. There's some warning messages that are really kind of severe, and you need to get that fixed. Reach out to us. Go check your website right now. Type in www in your website domain, and look for this little icon if you're using a Chrome browser specifically. And if you're seeing that message, you better get that fixed before tax season, because people are not going to want to hire you. Clients are going to be reluctant to use your website to do secure file sharing. You need to get it fixed, and we can help you, but that's something to fix your website before tax season, especially. And especially with all the kind of tax fraud and kind of fake, spam messages that goes out to people during this time. You don't want them to have low confidence in your practice. Other things you can do to prepare then also helps you with search engines like Google is to go out and claim and get lots of information on review sites like TaxBuzz and CountingWorks. We have a whole webinar on building your review sites out, so ask us and we can send you information on that. Also local directories like Yellow Pages and all these things. We do that for clients. We get them on hundreds of directories. It's something that you can do on your own, but it's kind of time consuming. Better off hiring somebody like us to get quality inbound links and what we call citations. You can also try to get a little PR. There's an example on the right-hand side of one of our clients who got covered during tax season. A lot of reporters want to talk to tax professionals about tax season during tax season. And so there's lots of opportunities out there. We help some of our clients with it, but kind of your local news media, you can kind of be connected on social media to them and reach out to them and just look for opportunities. There's also these services that kind of alert you to reporters that are looking for tax professionals to comment on various stories like the new tax law and all those things. And then social media, get that ready, be active and for the tax season and have something in place, especially when you get busy. You'll need to automate a lot of these things. And so that's the next point here is automating your social media and your website and your blogs, because when you get busy during tax season, you're not going to be able to hand manage all of these things. So it's great to have either a company like ours and or somebody in your office that can help you, social media person, kind of a client portal person, someone can handle your technology, those kinds of things. But you're going to need to have your website covered, your blog, your email newsletter, social media, leads that come in. Gosh, that's the most important thing. You do all this stuff to try to get new clients, and then if you're not responding to those new clients that come in, boy, you're missing an opportunity. So be sure you have some kind of lead management system in place. Appointment scheduling so that people can schedule meetings during tax season to come in and meet with you. These are all things that we have bundled up into one platform. We make it very easy. It's very cost effective. You can get each one of these things kind of piecemeal. Don't suggest it. Better off to have an all-in-one system like we offer or something like it. That way you're covered and a peace of mind, and you have all of these things that you're going to need to have during tax season covered. And then there's people and process. And so I talked about it a little bit, but during tax season especially, make sure you have your office hours displayed, you have phone coverage during those office hours and off hours, you have a plan for email communication, prospect follow-up like I mentioned, organizers and forms to make it self-serve for your clients to some extent, a client onboarding process. This is the time of the year where many tax and accounting professionals get the majority of their new clients in. So make sure you treat them well and have all these things in place in terms of technology and processes, a scheduling app and secure filing. And don't forget, even in the beginning, kind of have a process with your team to get ready to ask for reviews. Even in the beginning, when you sign somebody up, and we cover this in the other webinar, but things like, hey, if I do a really good job for you this tax season and helping you get your taxes prepared and submitted, would you mind afterwards going to my TaxBuzz page and giving me a review? So setting it up right from the beginning in terms of getting those reviews even before tax season starts. Okay, so the next poll question number 2, we'll go ahead and launch that. And again, it's about timing and communications to your clients and timing and things like that. So another one related to timing. We'll go ahead and launch that. Is it better to wait until February to prepare your marketing and your communications? True or false? It is better, I should say. It is better to wait until February to start preparing your marketing.
Throw them off. Yeah, you're trying to throw them off. You gave the first one to them, and now
you can change your answer. If you didn't submit it yet, you can change it. So it is better to wait until February. True or false, to prepare all this stuff and do all this stuff. Okay, again, if you're paying attention, even if you're not paying attention, hopefully this one should be fairly straightforward. I'm going to give you another 5 seconds though. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, hopefully you got that, and I see the answers coming in here, so it looks like folks have gotten that one. Cool, great. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next sort of a state, or within tax season, which is, as I mentioned, acquiring and scheduling. And we talked about some of this already. But when those inbound calls and emails come through, be sure you have someone that's going to follow up with them, because otherwise the other accountant who is following up is going to get that new client. So call and email them. There's also automated drip emails you can use to have automatic follow-up in addition to calling and reaching out to them the first time. We have something in our system that helps to nurture these new prospective clients. Also have some kind of a scheduling tool. It's much easier and much more self-serve for somebody to just click on a button, choose a time to meet with you and come into your office versus the phone and the email back and forth with a prospective client or client. So have that appointment scheduling set up on your website so that they can do that. And the main goal, though, is that you should get them either on the phone or into your office. That's when you're going to acquire these new clients. So that should be your goal. We do get this question, so I'll put it up there. Should I do paid advertising during tax season or outside of tax season? We much would prefer and suggest you do something like either, we have a free TaxBuzz profile, or you can get a paid one. There's some low-cost things you can do, all these tools that you need. Getting your house in order and doing these basic things will get you a long way. Down here at the bottom, I have an example of a client who really, it's Lena Lowe and Lena's tax team up in the Bay Area. She started this process in terms of building all these things we've talked about a few years ago. Now, you see the note there that she asked us to put on her website about sort of late January to early February. She gets so booked and does so well during tax season, she actually has to say, which is not, it's still a problem. It's a good problem to have, but still a problem to some extent. She gets so booked that she needs to sort of turn people away. She's been doing this for years. She has lots and lots of great reviews. And if you ask her, sort of that'll probably be what she credits it to. So rather than, and she doesn't does any advertising, if any. She has us help her with some things in terms of the platform that we provide to her, but she doesn't really do any advertising. So suffice to say, we don't necessarily recommend advertising. It is kind of expensive. You can talk to us about it, but we'd rather have you do these other things before you do too much advertising. Okay, so the third poll question here. All right, I'll go ahead and launch it. So which of the following marketing, here, let me get this slide open so I can read it a little bit better. There we go. Which of the following marketing tasks can be automated using technology tools? So posting to your blog, sending email newsletters, posting to your social media, all of the above. So again, hopefully you're paying attention there, but we did go through this and talk to you about all the things that our platform can do, and there's other platforms as well, but which or all of those things can you automate through technology tools like ours or some other companies? And so I will go ahead and give you 5 more seconds on that, and we'll get ready to close the poll question here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, great. Looks like you all, or most of all of you got that one, so congratulations, very good. Okay, so now we're going to talk about serving clients. And this is kind of when you're hot and heavy into tax season and you're doing tax returns and getting clients in and onboarding them. This is probably the most important thing of all. Yes, you want to do a great job in their actual tax returns and helping them. That's kind of a given. But this is where it's your chance to shine. And that's why it's so important to build all these processes and things in place from now until you kind of get new clients on board over the next 30 to 60 days. Because if you're kind of a mess and everything's scattered, for sure you're going to have some bad client experiences, and that'll result into not getting 5-star reviews, but maybe 1, 2, or 3-star reviews out there on the internet, on TaxBuzz and other places. So be responsive, have clear and frequent communication with your clients. Obviously, do a good job and make sure you're up to date with your CPE and on all the different tax situations and all the tax laws. But really delivering and have that be a goal to deliver a 5-star experience for your clients. That's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do during tax season is something, and if you've got somebody that handles your social media or somebody in your office that can post these, is if you have clients that come into your office, it's great to get photos with them. We have these things that you can use, and you hold up little signs and things like that, but it can be just in front of your logo or something like that in your office, just something that shows that it's your office. Obviously, if the client is there with you, you know that they're in your office. But you can get photos with them and post those out to social media. Get the clients okay, but this is a great content to have. It's one of the few things that we can't do with our clients in terms of social media because we're not there. So to get photos with your clients when they're in there, usually they come in during tax season. Some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them you do online. But that's another great thing you can do. And then, sorry, I skipped ahead too fast, but obviously start getting those reviews. As you finish the tax return, That's a great time. It's one of the best times to get and ask for reviews from your clients. Okay, great. And now I'm going to turn it on over to Lee for after the tax deadline.
Actually, thank you for jumping in because I wasn't sure. Am I on the next slide or the one after that? But perfect. You got me ready. So I think some of the things that Brad has been talking about is really about customer experience, right? So, and I'm going to get into the post deadline, but here's a stat that I think is pretty staggering. According to Forrester research, 77% of people say that the most important thing companies can do is to provide good services to value their time. And a lot of the elements that we're talking about, both during, pre-tax season, during tax season, and obviously the topic I'm going to talk about here is post-deadline, is really valuing your client's time. Customer experience is how they perceive, engage, and experience what you create. So that's everything from your website to your Facebook pages, your LinkedIn profiles, whatever it is. What is that experience like? It's every part of the process, everything. So meaning you can't control what people see anymore, right? The internet has opened it all up, mobile devices, phones, the customer experience is kind of everywhere. And what I'm trying to communicate is you need to concentrate on being everywhere and really putting a nice, consistent brand across. Because the reality here in the digital age, it's never been easier for word of mouth to spread, right? So, let's make it so that word of mouth is positive. So what are the post deadline, April 16th and beyond things? So the simple stuff, thank clients for their business is such an easy thing. You can automate it. You can write personal notes. It goes such a long ways. It doesn't happen as much as it used to. And people, let's value their time, right? Value their business. Give clear guidance on timing for response, refund from IRS and state. So we have all these different tracking tools on our clients' websites that make it easy for them to track their refunds, and just those little things, make it easy for them to find it. You might even send a post-tax season message and say, hey, if you want to track your refund, here's a quick tool. Obviously, ask for reviews when it's fresh in people's minds. They're more likely to jump at it versus waiting a couple months. So, we always try to get our clients to be very proactive right around this time of year. Ask for follows and connections on social media. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I am on Facebook. Twitter, our tax buzz Twitter is over 6,000, 7,000 followers now. It's a big following and it matters. And if you just say, hey, I'm on social media, please follow me, let's connect. It's a great way to kind of extend your funnel, and it's more top of mind. So if people are following you, every time you're posting, your brand and your name is in front of them. And who knows when that life event is going to occur, right? Who knows when someone just asks them, hey, I want a referral, and oh yeah, I work with so-and-so, and guess what? Here's their Twitter page, and you can engage them, and I think it's a big deal. Keep your clients informed throughout the year. This cannot be more important, and a lot of people just literally say, oh, season's over, I'm done. I mean, the reality is we have two seasons now, right? You have the October 15th deadline, you have April 15th. It's definitely not the way it used to be. And it goes back to, I know we're talking about, I'm just going to reiterate, life events happen year round. Referrals happen year round. So if the life event occurs and you're not present in front of your audience or, influence of your clients, you might miss out. Another tool that many don't think about is a Misty last year. And, a couple clients may have gotten separated, or someone moved out of state and didn't realize they could still work with you. There might be another reason where they maybe were embarrassed to call you about an issue. Misty last year, emails, we have an actual campaign around it, are extremely effective. I mean, can you imagine if you had a churn of, let's say, 30, 40 clients, and half of them actually didn't want to leave, or there was something that came up that you could bring them back based with a campaign. It really helps with your growth rate. So it's another tool that we highly recommend that clients look at. But those are some of the main post deadline options. We obviously create content about these life events for our clients year round, so it really pushes that out for them. But that's kind of the lead into Brad's next section.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lee. So we're going to talk now. So we talked a little bit about the 4 different stages of tax season and what you can do to prepare and kind of take advantage of each of those 4 different stages. And now I'm going to give you some goals to have for tax season. And some of these are marketing related, as I said, and kind of a little more practice management type things, and some of them are a little more revenue related. But I talked about the website and kind of the things you need to do to get your house in order. So that would be the first goal that I would say is really just go back and look at those things in our presentation that you can beef up and pick a few of them, whether it's your website, whether it's your blog, whether it's your email marketing and newsletters, social media. Pick one or two or three of those things and where you're going to really go back and take a look at them and make sure that they're really ready for tax season. Your website is a great starting point to make sure it's secure, as I mentioned, to make sure it's got great content. Your phone number is there. It has your hours during tax season. It has profiles of you and your staff. There's a few simple things you can do to each one of these to be ready for tax season. Email marketing is another great one to automate during tax season so that you have email newsletters and communications that are going out automatically, even when you get busy. And social media, same thing, keeping in front of prospective clients and clients even when you get busy. Those are all great things. So pick a few of these items, start with your website and maybe one or two others, and really beef them up and have them ready for tax season. And you can get help from us, obviously, and there's others who can help you, but that would be the first goal, to kind of beef up your house and get those things in order. Okay, a goal might be also to retain your prior year tax clients. And to maybe to go back, as Lee said, and maybe somebody who didn't come to you last year but came to you 2 years ago, maybe go back and try to bring some of those back. But really, that should be one of your goals is to keep and keep serving your clients that you have, because the statistics range from anywhere from like 2 times to 10 times higher cost to get a brand new client versus just keeping the client that you already have. And so there might be a reason that they didn't come to you, and so maybe going to kind of explore that. So get back those clients and keep them year round, deliver the 5-star practice, but that's a great goal to have, is retaining most of the clients that you already have. And then another goal would be delivering as best you can a 5-star experience. So really set your goals high. It should be a 5-star experience. It should be something where your client is going to refer you to somebody else, because as most of you know, the best clients come from referrals. That's also one of the least costly ways. You can do advertising, which is very expensive, but to have a fan of your practice and of your business going out there telling all their friends and family about you is a built-in sales team that doesn't really cost you anything other than delivering the 5-star experience to them in the first place. But that's really should be your goal, is every touch point you have. And in talking about number one goal there, beefing up your communications and setting the plan in place, go back and look and make sure you have those processes in place ahead of time, starting now, to make sure you can deliver a 5-star experience to every client that you serve. And you're going to be much more likely to get those 5-star reviews. You're going to be much more likely to get referrals. You're going to have a much better tax season overall. You won't hate tax season. You'll love it, hopefully, at some point. So deliver a 5-star experience. Increase your fees. And so there's lots of ways to increase your fees. You can raise your prices, which is sort of you can do that. And if you find maybe like Lena or somebody else, which she may have done, is, if you get so many clients that you can't take anymore, sometimes you'll do that. Maybe you'll package things up too. There's also ways to do a monthly program, even for tax planning, which is more difficult, but you can have kind of more of a monthly type retainer, and maybe it includes bookkeeping or something like that if it's a small business. But look for ways to not just work harder for the same amount of revenue, but to increase your fees. The other way that you sort of can increase your fees is to do number 3. Because if you've got lots and lots of 5-star reviews, and again, this is going back to Lena, that's one of the things that she found, is that people are going to be willing to pay more money to your practice to help with tax preparation or planning than H&R Block or some other, no offense to them, but some other type of franchise type thing that's less expensive, or to do it themselves with TurboTax or something like that. They're going to be much more willing to pay you higher fees if you've got tons of 5-star reviews. So 3 really leads to helping you with 4. And if you're more efficient, you can obviously serve more clients as well. And then the last thing I'll say, which, as far as your marketing goes, this is probably one of your most important goals for tax season, is to get lots of 5-star reviews on TaxBuzz and Google My Business, also CountingWorks.com. But as far as the tax clients go, I would say getting 10 to 20 reviews on TaxBuzz is going to help you a lot. It is the number 1 site. It gets millions of visits. There's hundreds of thousands of leads that have come through TaxBuzz and CountingWorks.com. Google My Business would be the second one. that I'd recommend. So, but that should be absolutely be a goal for you, is to be able to either during or after tax season get 10 to 20 5-star reviews. Okay, so now with the last poll question of the webinar, and again, this one's actually really easy because there's no necessarily right or wrong answer, although there's better answers that we would like better than others. But anyway, would you like some help during tax season, getting ready for tax season? We're happy to do this. We could do a complimentary review of your website and your marketing. We can come in there and kind of look at to see whether you have that security warning on your website, to look at other parts of your website, to look at your social media, to look at your review sites, really offer you some suggestions and ways that you can more quickly ramp up and be ready for tax season. So go ahead and please do respond to that question. We love helping, and there's no obligation. You can use us later on or not. It's totally up to you. But let us know if we can give you some help. And I'll go ahead and leave this open for another 5 more seconds. And we'll close it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the last poll question there. All right. And so as promised, and thank you for staying, the webinar here, but as promised, we also have special offers because you stayed the whole time. You can get these. So up to 20% off the first 3 months of any of our packages, any of our monthly packages. Our packages already are very inexpensive in terms of being able to, what we deliver. You can compare us to any other type of marketing company, whether it's accountant or tax professional marketing. Kind of compare apples to apples. We'll help you do that if you want us to, but all our packages are already the most cost effective, but we're going to give you 20% off. We'll also give you $100 off any TaxBuzz or CountingWorks Premier profile packages, and we'll also waive any setup fees, and that's up to $495 in savings. So no setup fees, and we'll give you a discount on our programs, which are already very, very cost effective and very effective in helping you do all of those things that are going to be very difficult for you to do on your own. So we'd love to help you during tax season and beyond, all year round. Okay, great. So what we're going to do now is we've had some questions come in. Thank you so much for submitting those. And we'll go ahead and take a look at those and start answering some of the questions. And so Lee, maybe you can take this one. But there was a question about the security message, how to fix that, basically. So there's a little thing that we showed with a little warning that you get on Chrome. How can someone fix that if they have that issue coming up on their website? Lee, I don't know if you want to take a stab at that.
Sure, and it's more than Chrome now. Obviously, all the major browsers started adapting to it, and I think the reality here is because of all the identity theft, the major tech companies do not want holes, and they're basically saying, let's reward companies that use what's called SSL security certs. So basically, they're a way that we can put encryption onto a website that makes sure that someone can't eavesdrop and collect information that's filled out on any forms, even your contact form and other things. So it's not just secure file sharing issues, it's definitely any type of form. There's a tiny part of the Moz, we believe that Google and others will reward sites that are secure. So there's a little bit of an SEO boost, but more importantly, it's just purely going back to my customer service issue, customer experience issue. You want clients to trust you from the beginning. You want to be a tech-enabled firm. You want when a new person finds you, you don't want, the last thing you want is to greet them with a security warning. So anyone who adds SSL security can, ours we included in our packages. Some charge, I think, $120 or up a year, but to me it's 100% must. And I see many tax and accounting pros that are still not upgraded yet. I'm not sure why, if they're not getting the message, they're not going to visiting their own website and seeing what their clients are seeing. But again, it goes back to, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, and these are all prospects that are probably, if you have a lot of visitors to your site and you wonder, why don't any of these people call me? That's probably one of the reasons. It's just one of the factors. So there's others that we've identified, but I think that's a thorough answer to that question.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's definitely something you have to fix. I mean, you really do have to fix it. It's really easy with us. If you just sign up with our websites, you'll get it. It comes with our packages starting as low as $69 a month, $69.95. You can get that. And as Lee said, some other companies will charge for it. You can ask your website vendor, ask them if they say they either can't do it or they charge you a lot of money for it. you might want to really consider about, looking switching, because it really should be something now. And for us, we actually we changed all of our clients over ahead of time before Google started penalizing people for it, because we saw the writing coming for a couple of years now, or 2 or 3 years ago, on the wall, that Google was going to start doing that. So we did move all of our clients over to HTTPS and SSL security. But if you don't have that fixed, absolutely do need to fix it. And if you wanted our help, we can take a look at it. And for us, really about a week to 2 weeks, if things go smoothly, we can have a new website up for you with SSL security. So you can choose us, or you can go to your vendor and go to somebody else. But regardless of how you do it, you definitely want to get that solved before tax season, especially. Okay, the other question we had, Lee, which was, what's the best time to ask for reviews? So maybe you want to take a stab at that, and I could chime in as well. What's the best time for asking clients for reviews?
Right. So, I mean, I always, the obvious one, there's a couple ways I like to put this. One is you even start the seed when you start with a new client, or even your current clients, and basically say, hey, my business is built by word of mouth, and if I do a great job, I hope that I will earn a review, a testimonial kind of thing from you. But you can put it in even the beginnings of the relationship, but anytime after you've completed a successful engagement, the sooner the better to send that. We try to get it, if it's a one-off, we have a tool that actually allows our clients to send a review request directly out of our client portal. So our pros can, I've just finished a relationship, client's happy, click a button, send review request, and that generates a ton of reviews for pure tax practices. Obviously, you could either do it in waves of when you finish with clients and try to do wave one and stagger your review requests. But no matter what, right after tax season, you definitely want to hit them up and build up the review kind of assets, because that's where they really are. They're assets. They're, again, evergreen, so they continue to build upon itself. But do it right after the tax season's over.
Okay, great. Yeah, and we sometimes what we'll do is that we'll ask a client to let us know, and we have something built into our system that can send out automatically a review request email to the clients that you have in your database. So we can do that, or we can kind of customize it to certain clients to send it to. So ask us as well, and we can help with that, and that's something we do for our clients. It comes out on behalf of the client, of the tax pro or the accountant, but it's something we have built right into our system. Okay, so the other question we had was, how long does this take? How long does it take to do some of these marketing things we talked about? I'll go ahead and take a stab at it real quickly, and then if you want to chime in as well. This takes some of this really to do well will take a year to 2 years. It really does kind of take that long in some cases. Now, you can, though, see lots of impact, as Lee said, 30, 60, 90 days. Some of these key things that you do, if you fix the SSL and you get more content on your site and you start posting out to social media, you get the reviews. We actually had a client who was nowhere to be found on the internet. She got something like, I think it was like 5 to 6 reviews on TaxBuzz, and her TaxBuzz profile started showing up in Google searches. And this was it. Now, this doesn't happen all the time, but with this client, it did. Within about 30 days, she was starting to show up on Google for really good Google searches by getting 5 to 6 or 7, I think it was, reviews on our TaxBuzz profile. So sometimes this can happen really quickly. You never know necessarily, but plan on at least probably 60 days to 90 days to see the initial impact, and then I would say 6 months to sort of 12 months to see the full-fledged impact of this marketing. But it does work. We have clients who have been with us for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. We have case studies on our site. If you sort of don't believe us, you can go to our CountingWorksPro.com site. We have a case study section there. Please go check that out. But this does work. You can see immediate impact, but it is a long-term endeavor to build up your marketing for your practice and build up your reputation and I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Lee.
Yeah, and I mean, it's basically what we see in the data as well. Some of our higher level packages, like our Whitney program, that is much more content citation driven, a lot of social sharing. Those clients, what you see over time is not only their traffic growing, as far as, we have people getting thousands of visitors a month versus firms getting 50 to 100. It's a dramatic difference. But the bigger issue is it starts to build on itself. So every year their traffic continues to rise, but also the breadth of the what we call long tail keywords. So not just the core keywords that the majority of people are searching, but more targeted things. So this could be a niche that you work in. So expat taxes. Let's say you work with dentists. Creating content around those type of verticals. One, there's less competition, and two, you can find really highly targeted clients. And this is not something you build in a day or two. It's not, the instant gratification does not work. So if you're trying to build a long-term practice, you want to be successful, there's a little patience required. The internet that's kind of the way it works. It's a patience game. It's building authority, building your reputation. And, again, the search engines use all these different signals to determine who do they think is the best, who is that 5-star practice. So what we use is strategies around this. So is there a content that we can create that, very targeted searches, you'll be coming up number one. And if you have the reviews and you have the content about a specific vertical, the chances of you getting that phone call are much higher. So again, I'm a huge believer in evergreen marketing. You can Google it on the side and kind of look at all the statistics, but you can waste a lot of money on PPC. The reason Google is so rich. Sometimes it works, but it's very difficult for smaller practices to compete against the big fish who are buying. Their ad budgets are much, much bigger than yours. So,
Right. Yeah.
Organic traffic is much cheaper long-term than trying to buy it.
Yep, absolutely. Build it over time. Looks like we're coming up on the hour here, so I have one more question, which I'll take a stab at, and Lee, you can jump in. Last minute clients. How do I get my clients to come in sooner? And I get a rush of last minute filers. And how do I fix that? Because it's a big problem, sort of. Anyway, I have a lot of clients who tell us that. So I'm going to give something that you may not expect, but we see, which is, believe it or not, the email newsletters. Because if you're in contact, so we have a lot of clients who my clients won't read the newsletter, and so they don't send them. Or I don't know what it's hard to get my client list together with my clients' email addresses, or whatever. So we get lots, or older clients, they won't read it. But those email newsletters, they're very engaging. At least ours are, and there's other email newsletters you can get from other companies. But with ours, we have 50 to 80% open rates, so people do read it. But because you're staying in front of them all year, you're reminding them of the fact that, hey, tax season is coming up. Oh, I should call Joe and make sure he gets set an appointment with him. So that's one thing, is to just make sure you have email newsletters, and you're going to keep in front of them. And that just naturally, we just see that. I don't have any statistics on it, but we definitely see it happen where one tax season they didn't have newsletters, and the next tax season they do. We've had clients tell us, you know what, they're actually booking appointments sooner in the year. So make sure you have those together and start sending them now. The other thing you can do, and some clients do this, is they offer incentives. You can get a discount if you book your appointment sooner earlier in the year. Make sure you have those automated booking tools, like on your website, to set appointments to make it more convenient for clients. And then with this year, who knows what's going to happen? And Lee, maybe you can kind of chime in on that. But with all the tax law changes, you're probably going to have more extensions and things maybe this year. So one thing is, we have some clients who set a cutoff date where they won't do any more, pre April 15th tax returns, and they'll just put it to extension at a certain time period. And you can pick a date and make sure you plan ahead for that. And you probably already do have something in mind. But Lee, I don't know, what are your thoughts on, getting clients to come in sooner, and so that it's not this mad rush at the end? And then what are maybe thoughts on, extensions this year?
Yeah, so I mean, pre-schedule. That's it is the best strategy to pre-fill the dates, and then and let people know, hey, the more prepared you are, the easier it is for us to process your returns. And from a tax pro's point of view, I mean, to be honest, you don't want all these late filers stacking up and being your normal profile anyway. So it might be time to gently be prodding and thinning out who you work with. But the most effective strategy is pre-file or pre-scheduling the current client database and getting new clients to backfill certain areas or openings that you have available. I think that's by far the most effective strategy to deal with that. And then, of course, every once in a while you got to put your foot down, and that would be my advice there.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, great. Thank you so much for attending. This is our contact information. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. We always accept from tax professionals and accountants, almost always, your connection requests on LinkedIn. We'd love to connect with you and stay in touch with you there. Please visit our websites, CountingWorksPro.com, where we have a blog, where there's lots more information on all of these topics. We also have additional webinars that we do on all of these various topics as well. And you can go to our YouTube and see some of our prior webinars. We'd love to hear from you. You'll be getting an email from us, as I said, with more information on how to get the CPE credits. And if you'd like to set up an appointment with us, maybe to talk about your pre-tax marketing plan and make sure you have a good one in place, we'd love to help you with that as well. So thank you so much for attending. Lee, any final thoughts?
No, yeah, and definitely hit us up on LinkedIn. I like taking questions. I have lots of discussions on social media, so feel free to connect. And if you have any questions, message me. Throw the questions my way, and I respond to all of them. So I look forward to hearing from you as well. And I wish everybody a very successful tax season. I think it's going to be a good one if you're positioned correctly, and we hope to hear from you as the year goes on.
Yeah, and happy holidays, everyone. Happy New Year, and we look forward to talking to you during tax season and beyond. Thanks so much for attending. Take care.